down a little bit. You're too low. What is going on, all you profitable stylists out there and all you future profitable stylists out there? We are talking about which blonde technique is the best one for this year.
Ooh, do
So
I have a
far,
list?
I mean, there's a bunch of them, but lived-in blondes and buttery blondes have been the two top, neck and neck. They've been ahead of the race against everybody else. How do you like blonde hair? Do you like blonde hair?
You
Oh,
trying
okay,
to
yeah. Keep it.
talk to me while I'm chewing a pretzel? I'm trying to eat my breakfast here. I love blonde hair. I love blonde hair, but you know what I noticed about myself? Through the years, you think things are attractive and you don't really know what it is. Like certain facial shapes. I'm always trying to figure out, like, what is it about this person I find attractive? And it can be jawline, eyebrows, but when it comes to color of hair, I find I like the extremes. I like very dark hair and very light hair. I'm not everything in the middle. Some are done really well. I like really clean, neat styled hair, but I also like very ridiculously messy hair, like Tarzan's wife. So if somebody thinks they style their hair, but it's just a little messy and it gets messy throughout the day, or they don't wash it that second day, I don't really like it much. But when it gets 4 or 5 days and looks ridiculous,
And it looks crazy.
I love a mess. I love extremes is what I've found about myself. But for blondes, I did grow up in the 80s when blonde was yellow. And I thought I loved blonde hair when it was yellow. So when it got whiter and whiter, I started to love it more and more, actually. And I know you hated it. You hated it. I liked it more and more. So I am loving seeing this yellowy. I know people don't want to hear the word yellow, but golden, whatever, big bird yellow. I love that it's coming back a little bit. First of all, it's way more achievable, healthier, easier to do. And it's just a closer to, if you just lighten hair, this is one of the tricks. I say tricks. It was to fix a couple of possible problems I'd have when I first started highlighting hair. I would do a lot of ladies' roots, right? And I went through this thing where I was like, the salesman taught me, he's like, why don't you just add a little bit of highlights to each person you're coloring and add an extra $30? Now, $30 was a lot 25 years ago, And so every time I'd color, he said, you're waiting there 30, 35, 40 minutes for it to process. Why don't you just throw a few foils in? I said, right over the color? He said, you're just doing roots. What's it matter if it looks like it's grown out a little bit? And just call it something like sun-kissed, or just some little highlight, or your halo. Or I would say, hey, while I'm coloring it, I would just do the sales pitch while I'm coloring. What do you say we just add a few highlights up there for an extra $30? And they're like, what do you mean? You can do it while it's coloring? I said, while your color's processing. Now listen, this was the trick, because I was already knowing what was going to happen. It's not going to be the color they want if they pick it out of a book, right? So that is not a choice. I said, so listen, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bleach on a few little pieces up top, 4, 5, 6 foils, and we'll let it just lift naturally, like the sun had done it. It'll just look like you've been on the beach. And it could be orange, it could be light orange, it could be yellowy, golden, orangey golden. It didn't matter, because I'd sold them on natural. Let's just do chemicals, natural. And I did kind of like the look, and I liked it a little lighter, and I thought a little variation looked a little bit better. It was a change. It was fun. It made a little extra money in the time I had to sit and wait anyway. It was a win-win across the board. They loved the change. They didn't mind spending a little money. I loved making the money. I put my downtime to use and just put a little bit up there. But I manage the expectations. I think that was the most important part. So we got all kinds of shades of blonde, or just lighter browns then. Did you ever do anything like that?
Yeah, we did a lot of that. And then, with the bleaches, I mean, that was the fun of it. When I was taught to start coloring or highlighting over color, it was amazing, because up until then, you would have to color somebody's hair, process it, shampoo it, come back, blow dry them dry, 100%, highlight foil them, process them, shampoo them, bring them back.
Shampoo and dry 2 or 3 times.
Right? I mean, it was a process, man, and it took hours. And people still do it today, and that's fine. And then it was the next technique I learned was you put all the foils in first, and then you meticulously go in between every single foil and you dab the color in, you know, and you do the root touch-ups in between all the foils. So that was faster because everything was processing at the same time, but the application was still very time consuming, you know.
A little scary too, because timing. I mean, whether you put the roots on and then the highlights, or the highlights and the roots, that was always like the chicken or the egg, which comes first, or which do you do first? Wild. It was difficult because you had to decide, like, how long are you processing the blonde? You know, the colors very often timed, right? And so if you're going to put color on, will your highlight process in time? Maybe not. Maybe we need to put the highlight on first, give it a head start because
that's basically what it was.
And if the highlight was done before the color was done, like, oh, that color might not stay as well. So timing comes with experience.
So timing was rough. The other thing what was crazy was bleaches back then. When the technique was first taught to color the whole head and then highlight right over that color, some of the bleaches back then wouldn't eat through the color enough. So you'd have a little bit of a band, you know, if you got close enough to the scalp and you put the highlight right over the color through there, and then you pulled it through the ends. But if you didn't pull the color through the ends, so you only had the base touch up, the root touch up, you know, on the new growth area, you'd end up with a little bit of a band, and then the rest of the hair would be a different color. So you'd have to tone the living hell out of it. It was a mess.
Way back then, tell me if I'm even saying this name right. I think one of the first most prevalent bleaches on the market was just from the local Sally's, and was it called Basic White? Maybe
Basic White was the most. Yeah, Basic. I mean, Basic White still exists to this day.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, Basic White's still around. You know, it wasn't until Sunglitz. Yeah, you've heard of Sunglitz.
Oh, I made my fortune in Sunglitz.
On Sunglitz, right? When Sunglitz came out, that revolutionized a lot of things. That was like, holy cow.
I was in school. I don't know this answer. Maybe you do because you're the color expert, but Sunglitz saved my life. In the early days of learning how to highlight, I was not that fast at foiling. Okay. I learned Sunglitz in school. Then, of course, you had Kaleidacolors from Sally's, which was very similar. And Matrix had a brand that was similar. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I used the Matrix caps from my Matrix dealer, but Kaleidacolors from Sally's, but learned with Sunglitz in school, and then found out they were all very similar, but they were heat activated. So
was it V-lights?
No, I don't think so.
Something else. I'm trying to remember.
That's the extension technique these days with the purple light, but
oh yeah, no, right.
V-light extensions.
I know. I remember.
Yeah, Matrix has one. I know. It'll come to us. Maybe somebody else
came out with one called Magma at the time, and that was.
I never heard of that one. But listen, I don't think anything exists like it today because Kaleidacolors changed all of a sudden. They still sell all I ever bought was the blue-green powder because I was trying to counteract golds and oranges, and you'd mix it with a peroxide and you'd get it all over the head and it barely lifted, but you had a dryer heating up. When you put them under the dryer, literally 3 to 5 minutes, 7 minutes at the most on dark hair. I could take hair as dark as yours and be platinum in 7 to 10 minutes. It was heat activated. It got so light. It was toned when it was lightened. It was a miracle. I loved it. And then all of a sudden it didn't work anymore. And I started asking around, like maybe I did something wrong. Maybe my dryer didn't get hot. And they said they changed it. They took the chemical or whatever out of it, and it's still called Kaleidacolors. And it just doesn't work the same. And it's not heat activated anymore. I don't know. Do you know what it would have been in the powder that would make it?
Yeah. So what they were doing is it was infusing. So it was the lightener powder and the bleach powder. And then it had the toner infused. It had the toning pigments infused into the powder.
But what made it work so fast with heat?
Oh, no. Back then, back then those granules were so aggressive, so activating it with the heat was just swelling and chelating the cuticle. It was blasting the cuticle open, so it was allowing the powder to get in there and start dissolving
But you don't know what chemical it would be, huh? Because they don't do it
the actual
anymore.
name of the chemical you're saying?
I need to find it and add it back in is why I'm asking.
Oh, you're never going to be able to do it. It was a type of
Probably.
sulfate.
Oh, it's probably illegal now, right?
Yeah, it was yeah. They just don't do it anymore. That's the problem. So the other problem, what was happening was the pigmentations that they were using direct dye pigmentations as toners. And so that's how you were getting that aggressive lift from the aggressive powder action. And then you were getting the strong deposit and the color was coming out amazing. The thing, what was happening was it was
The good old days.
Oh my God. It was binding the pigment to the hair, Bernard, to the cortex, and trying to move. Like, it was amazing when the client wanted that color. When the client didn't want that color no more, oh, that was a pain in the butt to try to get it out.
It was like a tattoo. You got to make a decision.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. Sunglitz is still around, but then with the introduction of charcoal lighteners nowadays, you don't need, like, you could still do those effects and those techniques. They still work and they're very valid, especially for making the blondes, especially right now, because any kind of blonde goes. Whereas the past couple of trends and seasons, it's been as platinum as possible, paper white as possible.
Right.
But with the addition of the charcoal lighteners now, it gives you such a clean lift. It gives you such an even lift, and it can practically break through any pre-existing thing that's on the hair. So it's made life way, way easier. And then you got your white pure powders, lighteners, bleaches. And you got your blue base powders, lighteners, and bleaches. So there's so many variety. There's so many options. It's awesome. They even got blue base developers now too, not just your standard developers. They actually have blue toner pigment fused into the peroxide, so it can help your
powder,
your mixture that much more when you're foiling and when you're highlighting, and just to control that much more warmth. There's so much creative freedom. Anything goes. It's awesome. It's really, really awesome. We've seen that there's been two really defining techniques that have been, regardless of what version of blonde, what level or what tone of blonde you want, there's been two techniques in particular. One is called the lived-in blonde technique. The other one is called the buttery blonde technique.
I heard you say lived in earlier. Buttery is way more descriptive, I think, of butter, a light yellow. But what does lived in mean?
As the name alludes to, a lived-in blonde is something you've been living with it for a while now. So it's not as fresh, it's not as vibrant, it's not as intense, it's not as shiny. It's got a couple of dents and it's been lost some of its.
Is it the new dirty blonde?
It's a new dirty blonde, right? And that's the whole thing. Think of your balayages, think of your ombres, think of your blondes that are kind of faded a little bit. They're still very pretty. They still look great, but they don't look so fresh. And the beautiful thing about it is you can go a little bit longer before looking like you need to touch it up.
That's good, you said? Good for the client.
Well, it's great for the client, who doesn't want to maintain, who's looking for low maintenance. It's great for that kind of clients.
Right.
May not be good for your books as much because they're not coming in as often.
So you just need more clients.
Or diversify your portfolio of your book and clientele. Don't just be getting all the same client. If you have a couple of balayage clients or ombre clients, make sure you balance it out with a couple of 4-week gray hair root touch-up, people that need touch-ups.
So what's the title? What's the title of our live today?
So we're revealing which blonde techniques are the best ones for 2025. And although there are so many different ways of achieving blondes and doing blondes, those two in particular really, really have been the top two trending this year.
For this year, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the buttery blonde exploded because we thought we were going to be doing I mean, you look at the past couple of seasons, there's been other versions of blondes that have come out, but everybody keep going back to the platinums. So
Yeah.
everybody thought
Right.
just platinum is forever. That's the only version of blonde we're going to do. And I've been arguing with so many people because I keep saying it's not sustainable. We can't just keep doing platinum blonde. And everyone keeps telling me, you just don't like doing all that work. I'm like, who the hell enjoys doing all that back-breaking work to make a platinum blonde that's going to last 3 shampoos? It's annoying as hell, you
It's
know?
lasted a long time.
It's lasted a long time. But so, I don't know. I'm somewhat feel vindicated and happy that it's not the trending thing anymore. But at the
Right.
same time, I'm kind of sad because I finally started getting used to seeing the damn thing, and now I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be seeing it as much. So
Yeah. It's crazy how what you get used to becomes okay. I have to say with just where people wear pants on their hips, you know, I just grew up as a young man loving just high-waisted jeans on everyone. I thought that was normal. So when they went real low, I felt like, God, it looks like your pants are falling off. But I found myself thinking that that is the norm and looks better on a person. Now, when they're doing the high ones, I'm thinking, oh, that's too high. But I know I loved it in the beginning. So it's weird how when you get a little older and you remember some of the trends go back and forth, and it's the same thing again. You loved it, but now you don't. But I guess I'll probably like it in about a year as I get used to seeing it. You know, I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
And so with the blondes, I did take to the platinum blonde a little quicker than you did, I noticed. But I think I still like I like a little yellow in the blonde. I don't know, just it's what I started off with. So it's still the most comfortable blonde to me.
So much work. It's so much toning. It's so much lifting. It's so much lightening.
I like a variation.
You know,
like remember our hair extensions? Was it 1001 was more like a slight yellow blonde and a platinum blonde. I mean, we still have it in the she hair, and it was one of my favorite colors for the longest time because it was kind of a mix of a platinum and a yellow, and I liked that broken up color. I wonder now, I don't know the stats on our orders. I wonder now if we're selling more of the yellowy golden blondes, buttery blondes over the platinum blondes. Have even the extensions moved over that way? I wonder if RJ knows that answer.
Have moved over that way to the platinum blondes. A lot of people have been getting the platinum blondes 59, 60, 61, you know, the 20, 27, the blends, especially with the balayage and the ombre additions from the she hair extensions. They've been absolutely amazing. People have been going nuts. The rooted ones have been exceptionally popular, you know, the dark into the light. But 1001 is still the top blonde of all time from the she hair extensions.
You wouldn't call it buttery, huh?
No, I'd say it's a buttery blonde because it's a level 10 blonde. It's like a level 10 natural blonde. So then I'd probably say 59 is like the number 2 blonde right after that because 59 is the more platinum blonde. RJ's telling me 1001. Okay, so 1001 is still a top seller because it's an amazing blend.
He put 59, then 1001, then 1001. But I don't know why he put the name Carson.
Let me see here.
Anyway, maybe he's here.
Your boy, Bernard.
I know, but he's not. Oh, I see. Oh, yes. He's watching us. Oh, I didn't see that message. Carson says, Carson. Yes.
Hey.
That's funny. It was funny when he said he wanted to be a famous YouTuber, and I told him, well, I am.
Well, you are.
More than him. Not that famous, but, and he's like, wait, what? So then he started telling me the things I needed to do to make my channel bigger and better because he watches a lot of YouTube. Okay. And so I took a few tips from him at one point, and I don't remember when and where, what it was, but yeah, he does know YouTube. So blonde.
He's a cool kid.
What do you know what comes to mind when I think about platinum blonde or any blonde, when and where you should or shouldn't use it, And one of the things that always came up to me that extensions came into the mix was when somebody had black hair or white hair, and they either had dark hair or they had that blonde hair, and they wanted a highlight, chunkier highlight that was the biggest contrast. And in both directions, it's super difficult, and extensions was the better answer. So on somebody with black hair and they want some super white chunks of hair, it's like, we might not get up to that. We might spend hours with hair in foils that just turn bright orange. I don't know how long you've had this black on your hair. Why don't we just put a pack or two of a platinum hair extension, some extension strands throughout your head, and we'll get the color immediately. It'll be a lot faster, a lot more definite. You can pick the color off of a color ring, and that's the color that goes on your head. And then vice versa, a platinum blonde saying, I want anything but a black extension. Black is, I'm not extension, highlight, low light. A black low light would probably be the easiest color to get to stay on a blonde, and it would actually stay, because all the other colors, I'm always worried I don't get enough pigment in there, and it's going to start to fade and look orangey on that platinum blonde. So all of a sudden, we're going into the winter right now, right? Fall, winter, whatever we are. And these blondes are thinking, I need to do something for the winter. I need to go a little low light, a little darker, a little red. Maybe I need to go all dark. And I'm thinking, but are you going to want to be blonde again in the spring? And why don't we use some darker extensions to give your look a little different? Because God forbid, they're going to want to go back blonde either in 2 or 3 days or a week or two.
Yeah.
At least by the spring. So you want to answer this question first? And what's your favorite lightener?
I mean, what is the question? Are you asking for a brand specific? What's my favorite lightener? Or are you asking for
Misty Hayes Turner saying, what's your favorite lightener?
But they're right, because I can say like white, blue, charcoal, or I can say this specific white and blue from this brand and this specific one.
Do it all.
I'm not paid by these companies to advertise for them. I want a sponsorship, damn it.
Say it anyway.
All right, fine. There is a brand called...
You said yes, brand.
Yeah, fair enough. So there's 2 of them. So All Nutrient is a certified organic based color line. They're out of New Hampshire, so they're made in America. That's a big thing for me right now too. As it goes, they have a white and a blue lightener. Okay. The powder itself, they have a white one and they have a blue one, which is pretty standard. Most companies have that.
Yep.
In particular, what I like about that one is it's an equal part ratio from powder to developer, but it's forgiving. You can go a little bit thinner. You can add a little extra developer to it. You can do 1.5 or double depending on your consistency taste, and it'll still hold together and it'll still do what you need it to do. The powder is finer compared to a lot of the other powders that I've used. So the lift that I get is more consistent, more even, and it works. It doesn't overly spread in the foil. It doesn't overly explode or blow up.
So a finer powder, I never thought about that, will make a creamier, more even lifted.
It dissolves easier into the developer, which then, as long as you can keep your mixing ratio equal enough or consistent enough, then you're going to get proper lift and proper development time. And you're going to get consistency through that lift as well too. I'll explain that in a second. Just to answer her question real quick. The second one is a charcoal lightener from a brand called Lumine. They're out of Texas, happens to be made in America as well too, and I'm very patriotic, but the charcoal lightener from them in particular is a 1-to-2 ratio mixture, and that sucker will blow through anything you got, give you about 7 to 9 levels, and it is no joke. What's interesting about theirs is that they got a bond builder built into it. They've got a triple ash toner built into it. And they've got their standard developers are blue. Well, All Nutrient has blue-based developers as well. But the Lumine standard developers have are blue-based developers. So you are getting the cleanest lift and tone, especially from those darker or from those corrective situations where you need to eat through a lot of stuff and get a clean blonde lift. Yeah, it's really, really good. I bounce between all three of them because they're very situational. Each one has their specific uses. But that's the whole thing. Going back to why all of this matters. The ratio is so important. If you put more powder, less developer, your mixture stays too thick, it dies, it loses its lifting strength too fast. Okay. If you mix it too thin, so you know, some people like their consistency, how they like it, right? So they put more developer than powder. The problem is it dissolves and it eats away all the powder. Now the only lift you're getting is from the peroxide. You're not getting enough lift. And then what happens? Oh, I got to, you check your foils after 10, 15 minutes and you're like, oh, it's not moving enough anywhere. You pop them under the dryer, under the heat. And now that's just blowing out the cuticle. You might get another level, maybe, but you're not going to get enough because you're really forcing the developer to do the lifting rather than the powder doing the lifting. And that's something that I teach in my color classes all the time. I love mixing up a bowl in the beginning, letting it sit, and they can see the difference between how much it explodes if you mix it too thick versus how much it turns watery if you mix it too thin. And like the bears when you get it just right in the middle.
Misty says, what's the third one? Misty, I'm so glad you said that. I thought maybe I fell asleep in the middle of him explaining this. And when you said, and no, you said, and that's why you said, that's why I love all three. And I was like, oh my God, I only heard two. Then Misty said, what's the third one? I'm like, I'm with you, girl. What did we miss? Did you go? You said,
no, all three.
I know, but I only remember two. So could you do a quick summary? You had the
all nutrient has white and blue.
Oh, that's two.
And then Luminé got the charcoal.
Got it. Okay. The white, the blue, and the charcoal. I thought of all nutrient as all one. Okay. I was like, no.
So
you went from all nutrient?
Two of them, a white and a blue.
Got you. You went to the second company and then you went, and that's why I love all three. And I was like, I'm not saying anything. I must have dozed off. And then she's asked a question. I was like, thank God she asked, because I totally missed numbers. Maybe the third one or the second one. I don't know. Okay, that's funny.
No, and you have to have that variety. You need all three of them, because they're all situational. If you're doing a buttery blonde, the white one is such a no-brainer, right? If you're going for a lived-in, the blue one is such a no-brainer.
It's funny that you're answering her next question right now, and you didn't even notice it because you didn't read it. Well, she's saying, what's the difference with the blue and how to use it? Why the different colors, basically? And I'm glad you said.
Where's the comments, man? I got to go through these comments.
Well, I like that you started going through it because the very first thing I thought was, do we ever want brassy, gold, yellow? And so why would you ever use a white? When the blue came out, I mean, I want blue powder, blue liquid, blue lights. I want everything to make this person look whiter. I turn the orange off of my lights up here, unless I want to look like I got a little bit of a tan. I might turn an oranger light on.
See, I need the orange lighting to put some color back in me. I'm so pale. But all right, so to answer her question.
But you're saying now with these buttery blondes coming out, you're not going to want the blue in anything because you want to encourage a little golden, huh?
All right, so check this out. So here's the difference, right? When do you use a white versus a blue versus a charcoal to create a lived-in versus a butter blonde? Yeah.
I think if you're doing the lived-in, you do a little bit of all three.
you exactly. There is no rule that says you have to choose one over the other. Yeah. Right. So to do a lived-in, creatively speaking, okay, so technically it'd be easy to just pick one and then tone it after. But creatively speaking, why can't you take a charcoal and alternate a white, or take a white and alternate a blue, or go ham and go alternate white, blue, charcoal, white, blue, charcoal? You're creating different variations. You're definitely increasing your ticket. You're building your ticket.
Right.
But you're increasing the variations of tonality. And now nothing looks perfectly even, uniform, and fresh. The white one will give you more of a raw lift and throw the contributing pigment out there. And maybe you want to use that brassiness in there, that natural brassiness that it creates.
Mm-hmm.
The blue one is going to give you some toned down, controlled lift. And that, contrasting against the raw contributing pigment that's thrown out, that natural brassiness, then it looks like a highlight low light. And then you throw the charcoal in there on top of all of those, and it gives you that clean platinum blonde lift. That's fun as hell. You know,
I remember
that's what I'm referring to, like the money pieces and stuff.
Right. I remember when, color was all one color, then highlighting was all one highlight. And then when they started adding the 2 or 3 and they were chunky, so it'd be blonde, red, brown, blonde, red, brown. And so, I mean, it was the start of it. Sort of like the first ombre was a solid line right here, it was like brown, blonde with a solid line. So I love seeing the trends come in hard, then soften, then blend a little. And I'll never forget, we were at a cutting color training with Scott Cole and Linda Yotici for Paul Mitchell. And Linda, you think that these, I guess I know now, but a lot of times you think like, how do these geniuses come up with this stuff? Well, they mess up. That's how they come up with some of this stuff. And I remember Linda saying, so I said, oh, that's so cool how you put the 2 different colors in. How do you choose? She said, well, it all started when a girl asked me for some highlights and lowlights. And I was like, oh God, I don't know if I should do this low light or this low light. So I just did them both. I figured if I put them both in there along with the highlight, now I have 3 colors. I could even charge a little more. I'm charging more because I'm not sure which one to use. So out of my unsureness of doing this color, I'm making more money. And she thinks it's fancy. Now the other stylists are coming over and like, Linda, you have so many bowls on your station. You must be a genius. How do you know they all go together? She's thinking, well, I didn't know which one to pick, so I just picked them all. And it did look amazing. I had no idea, but I just didn't know what to do. And I thought that's a fascinating way to learn. And so it gave me a lot of clues into consultations because I thought, you know what? I took that and took it a step further during a consultation. And when I think I understand what somebody wants, I say, listen, I think I've got what you want. You've showed me a picture, but let's say we don't quite hit the target and we go a little off. Which way is okay to go a little off? A little lighter or a little darker? Well,
always go lighter. You can always.
Well, I know why you're saying that, but if I'm asking a client, I just want to get a feel for how conservative or liberal they are with their color, and sometimes they're like, oh, darker. Now I'm thinking, oh, okay, maybe we were going too light altogether anyway. But yeah, I agree with you there because you can always tone it down darker, way easier than having to.
Way easier than bumping it up.
Yeah,
way
I
easier.
agree. You want to go into more detail about why that is? I think that would help a lot of newer hairdressers.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things. Okay, so in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area, not Monday coming up, but the following Monday, the 17th, that's actually going to be my class. I'm doing a charcoal lightning class. And that's the 2 main things we're going to be talking about is white versus blue versus charcoal. And then the other thing we're going to be talking about is exactly what you're asking right here. We have the same, what I'm about to say about hair color transfers over into hair extensions. We have the same identical conversation about hair extensions all the time. Okay. Your hair can only retain so much pigment. And when you lift and lighten it out the first time you do it, you're getting all nice, even. You're pulling everything out. Then you go in afterwards and you tone it. And you can't tell me like, oh, I just don't tone. I only lift to the level I want. You're still finishing that process somehow with a conditioner afterwards or something at the shampoo bowl. And if you're not, then you don't realize your client is finishing that process for you at home, whether they want to or not, because you've got softeners in the water, you've got iron, you've got salts and chlorides and chlorines and all that other things, right? So if you're not toning or completing the lightening process at the salon, then at home, it is getting deposited a layer of crap on their hair. Now they come back next time and you're going to try to lift through that again. There's a layer that you have to break through that's going to fight the hell out of you. And the only way that's going to go is straight to orange, straight to brass. Okay. So when you're trying to lift, when you're trying to lighten, you want to, if you have to, if you can't get a clean lift, over lighten is way safer, because when you lift somebody up, say you're going from a level 5, level 6, we'll just use the average person as a level 5, 6, or 7, okay? And you're trying to lift them to like a level 8, level 9. Let's not even say anything too crazy. Let's just go something basic. And even if you're going in with a 10 vol or a 20 vol with a powder, simple, you process them for 30 minutes, simple, the average thing most 95% of the stylists are doing, right?
Right.
If you hit that level 8, if you don't break through level 8 and get to the contributing pigment at level 9, you are so screwed. Everybody knows that pain. Everybody knows that pain, because you go, you wash it out, you bring them back, they're way too brassy. That's got that orangey reddish or that orangey goldish.
It'll be lighter when I shampoo it. I mean, when I dry it. It'll be lighter when I dry it, right?
Right? Come outside by the window. It's the lighting in here. You know, come outside by the window. You know?
Yeah.
Here's a blue shampoo. We've all given all those excuses. How many times have I told you don't drink coffee, you know, before you get your hair done? I don't know. We come up with the craziest things. The problem is they didn't get passed through that level 8, that level of brass. It's the gatekeeping level between staying in the light browns and dark blondes versus a true perfect blondes. Now, you go back in and you try to lift over that after you've just freshly lifted that and you missed your mark. What a lot of people don't get, you started from a level 5, 6, 7, and now you've lifted them to a level 8. Now you're trying to lift them from a level 8 and lighter. That's your current baseline. Mm-hmm. There isn't as much pigment for the powder and the peroxide to dissolve. Okay, that's the action of powder and developers, to break down and remove the natural melanin from the hair. Artificial pigment does not get removed. It only gets broken down and shrunken. It doesn't get completely removed from the hair like natural melanin does. So your brassiness just gets brassier. And at that point, how much more lightening and lifting you can get is 100% determined by whatever condition is left in the porosity and healthiness of the hair. Because at that point, you're either going to turn blonde, white, or snap. And every colorist knows that. Snap, right? You how many times have you done a highlight? You take them to shampoo bowl, you bring them back to the chair, you start brushing them out, and all of a sudden, as you're brushing through their highlights, some of those are coming off in the comb, and you're sitting there trying to do one of these while the client's not paying attention. You're trying to like pick their hairs.
Are you saying it's better to get as light as you can on the first lightning instead of trying to get it on the second one?
Always. Yeah. Yeah. You really, really do. That's why I say, if you have to make a choice, if you're not confident that you can achieve the correct level of lift that you want, over lighten rather than under lighten.
Pump up the volume or pump up the time?
40 volume all day, baby. Really? You know, I'm not a believer. People are going to argue with me on this one. This is my opinion.
I think 30 and 40 volume are way underused.
I think so as well, too. And this is, again, my opinion, okay? This idea of letting the lightener sit all day, an hour, 2 hours. Yes, with 10 volume, as long as you can keep it activated, you will get all that lift, and that is fine. And it works. I'm not contesting that at all. I agree. But if you time it correctly, you don't need lightener sitting on the hair all day. Okay? If you're blasting the hair with 40 volume and you could do a targeted flash burn for 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops, you can achieve the result you need. And it's the same level of damage done to the hair with 10 or 20 volumes sitting on that hair for an hour. That's the science part of it. So that one for sure. it's the same thing. The problem, what happens is people take Fortival and they leave it on for an hour, and then they go pop them under the dryer and they start doing all kinds of craziness. And then they're like, oh, see, it melted the hair off. Well, yeah. The thing I teach in class is science is fun, but science is dumb. It don't know what you want it to do. It only knows what you tell it to do. And if you're telling 40 volume, if you're mixing 40 volume and leaving it on for an hour, that's what you're asking for. You're asking for to melt whatever the hell is there off. So that's why hair breaks. That's why people are scared of 40 volume with powder.
Because they've seen some hair snap. Yeah, Misty's talking about snap right now, and I don't think she's talking about Snapchat. I think she's talking about snap hair also. I think you could have an app called Snap.
What's your favorite brand toners? Would you please comment your location, or if your color class is online? I think everyone has experienced Snap at some point in their life. Yikes, 40 vol. I'm afraid to blow out the cuticles. Please help how to build confidence with that level and recommend. Okay, whoa. All right. Grab yourself a cup of tea, give yourself a hug. It's going to be okay. You don't have to be scared. Okay.
I mean, let's talk about this practically for a second. If you're 10, 20, 30 volume, you're checking, right? I think the only reason people are scared of 40 is because they don't have the experience with it. With the others, they have checked it often enough, and they've checked it so often at 3, 4, 5 minutes, and they're like, nothing ever happens. I'm just going to start checking it at 10 minutes from now on. So you get that comfort level that it barely ever does anything in the first few minutes. So they go straight to whatever their comfort level is, 7, 10, 12, 15 minutes. But they take that same 10, 15 minutes, put 40 on and wait 10, 15. Oh, no, it went too far. So I think it's just a matter of checking a little more often. Everything's working a little faster. And the other thing that I think is a little scary about 40 volume, which is what I also liked about the Sun Glitz and the Kaleidocolors, is that where you start. See, I started with 20 volume. If I was highlighting in the back and I'm going up the back of the head and I'm a slower hairdresser, maybe by the time I get to the end here, the back is done, maybe. And that's one of the biggest challenges. And so to me, that's what 40 volume was for. It was start with 20, somewhere in the middle of my process, 30. And right at the end, I might do the last few on top with 40 volume because I want them to finish faster and catch up to this. What do you think about that?
The basics of what you're describing, I use two analogies, okay? And it's two analogies. Everybody drives. Well, for the most part, everybody drives. So whether you're driving down the highway and the roller coasters, everybody knows what a roller coaster is, okay?
It's a roller coaster.
Well,
I like your way better. A roller coaster.
Roller coaster. All right. So if you're driving down the street, whether you go
roly-poly, that's the roly things. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of the pill bugs.
All right, on the roller coaster, go ahead.
So you go in 10 miles an hour, 20, 30, 40 miles an hour, and you're driving down the road, right? You're going to get where you're going. It just depends how long it's going to take you to get where you're going. So that's the only difference. As long as you still have gas. If you run out of gas, then it don't matter how fast you're driving. You're not going to get anywhere.
All right.
Keep that in mind for a sec, right?
Okay.
When you mix your powder with your developer, and I just keep saying powder because I don't want to keep saying bleach and lightener. There's a difference. So just overall, I don't care which one you're using. Just when you mix your powder with your developer, there's two rule sets that you got to follow, is time and consistency. So mixing with 10 volume versus mixing with 40 volume, 10 volume is going to work slower, 40 volume is going to work faster. And then the consistency of how you're mixing it, when it's fresh mixed, it's going to stay wet. There's moisture in your mixture. The longer it sits, whether it's in the bowl, whether it's freehanding, whether it's inside the foil, however you're applying it onto the hair, the longer it sits, it will continually start drying out and losing its moisture. That action, and this is where the roller coaster comes from. Okay.
The roller coaster.
You're getting a lot of lift when it's fresh and it's moving 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 and it's climbing. And then it levels off. As it dries, it starts to level off. And then it just drops off and dies. The more it dries out, it just drops off and dies. It's like running out of gas.
Right.
So then at that point, it didn't matter which developer you was using. It's done. You ain't getting no more lift.
Right.
You're dead. You're dead in the water. So you have to reactivate it somehow, either by mixing a fresh batch. I know a lot of stylists just go put more developer in there and then they make it even thinner, and that's a whole nother problem. But you go mix a fresh batch.
No, you bump up the volume.
Or you bump up the volume. Yeah, you know,
activate it with 30 volume now if you were using 20.
Right, you know. And then you got some half-assed 23 volume, 25 volume thing. You don't even have proper development. But that's a whole nother science nerding out session in class. But yeah, so yeah, people add more developer over it to reactivate it, or they fish it with their spray bottle, you know, just to get some water in there to reactivate it. Or they'll put protonizer spray, you know, they'll do something, right? To try to reactivate it.
Steam heater so that it doesn't dry out as fast.
Plastic cap over heaters, you've got the additives, you know, you've got like lightener control products that you can add in there to retain the moisture so it doesn't dry out so fast. There's so many different things, but the point is how low of a developer versus how high of a developer you use. You shouldn't be scared because it only is a timing issue. And then how you're mixing is your second issue. If you're following the directions on how the manufacturer, who has spent millions of dollars on research and development, that's what they're recommending, how you mix it for ultimate control. So if you follow those directions, and if your personal timing, if you're slow at applying, use the lower developer. If you're only doing a small section, use the higher developer. Then you got to sit there all day. Then if you're saying it that way, you can logic that all day and the math be mathing, as they say. There's no reason to be scared. You can do whatever you want. And then, like how you said, start with a lower developer at the bottom, and then as you get to the top, do a higher developer. They'll all process at the same time, and you pull them all off, and you're done. Then there's no reason to be scared.
I love that you brought up a new facet of this whole process that I never thought of. But what I'm going to add to it is, too often I've seen the stylists go in the back, mix their formula, come out, set it on their tray, and then ask the client to go put a smock on. They put a cape on. They start parting off the sections. And I am freaking out watching that product just go through its most powerful timing, sitting in the bowl, never put on the hair. Yeah. That right there is a big old waste. There's I would be like, why did you mix that? Why did you mix that? Well, I'm getting ready to use it. In 30 minutes?
Take a guess, Bernard. What is your prime? What is the set amount of minutes? What is your prime window of minutes when you fresh mix a bowl of color or powder or anything?
I think it's the first 20. I've heard of bleach being 20, 20, 20. The first 20, the most powerful. The second 20 is that plateau you talk about. And that last 20 is the dropping off. And then it's pretty much done. Is that about right?
Yes, everybody loves the round numbers, so that is correct. It's your 18-minute window of alkalinity, you know. So yeah, that first 20 minutes is so vital, and it's the second developer touches the product in the bowl, not when you start mixing it, not when you put it down and start applying it, or when you finish applying and set your timer.
So best case scenario, it takes you 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes just to mix it. So you're really down to 13, 14 minutes of power on the head. If you get there and get it on the head, that's just mixing. And and so that was one of the good side effects that people didn't realize when a lot of these companies went to the color bars, where you would mix color and bleach right in front of the client. You'd bring the client to a bar and you'd mix right in front right on the station, and then right where you mixed it, you'd start applying it. People didn't realize how much better it was for their outcomes, their how much you were getting lifted, how much. I never did like mixing right in front of the client, letting them see all the chemistry going on and what brand. I didn't sell by brands. I'm the brand. I'm the one that's gonna make your hair look good. If I decide to use something else, I don't want you thinking I have to use Paul Mitchell or Matrix or Redken. But I think she did Missy asked a good question a little while ago. Toner. You know, when I go to these shows over the years, it's like there's so many toners. But I have to say, I know you didn't bring it up, but what is the Wella one? It seems like it always wins these awards at Blonde D'Or. Blonde D'Or bleach seems to win the most awards at these shows. I think it might be because they pay people for the marketing, but it's funny that it's not the same company for the bleaching and the toning. Redken Shades still seems to be the most popular toner on the market. Do you find that across the country with salons? I know you don't sell either one, so you have strong opinions.
Okay. Let me be what's the word? Transparent up front?
Yeah, try to be. Yeah. Because I'm not married to any brand. I don't really care. We tend to use those two in our salon because they're so easy. Been using them forever.
Shades EQ has the largest market share.
Right. Yep.
That's as far as being the most popular. They just have the largest market share. Okay. So because they have the largest market share, I mean, look, Redken's owned by L'Oreal. L'Oreal owns half the world. It is what it is. It's a David and Goliath fight every day with them guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it is what it is. So that's the nicest way I can say my opinion about Redken Shades EQ. Okay. As far as Wella and Blonde D'Or, I cut my teeth on Wella, when I first started. That's what I learned on. So Wella has a personal place in my heart. It was my first company job and everything. So it was awesome, As far as what I'm currently doing these days, you gotta discover what you're using, why you're using it. It got nothing to do with what's popular. It's got nothing to do with why they just have the largest market share.
Right.
You got to see what your clientele is, what your personal vision is, and what you're trying to do. Okay. The reason why I use Keratint, which is the demi line from All Nutrient that I mentioned earlier. The reason why
you're toning, right?
My toning. It's the liquid version of the All Nutrient permanent color.
Mm.
The reason why I chose that is because I have a double fold thing. I'm teaching, I teach a lot of classes through Chicagoland, whether I do them in person, whether I do them online, I'm doing everything, The thing is, it's easy for me to teach and it's easy for me to use behind the chair because the swatches are the same. Most color lines, they're permanent and their demi are two separate swatches. You got to learn two separate formulations.
Especially if you're using Blonde D'Or and Shades, that's two different companies.
Yeah, and then you got two different things, right? Even Wella, you got Coleston Perfect and Color Touch. You got your permanent and your demi. So even Redken, Shades is the demi, and then you got oh gosh, I forgot what the permanent was called, but
does that Fusion in the name?
Fusion, yeah, Fusion and gels. They got two different permanents, and they both have their own things. So every color line has their own thing. It was just easier for me because it's the same swatches. You don't got to think of something. It's easier to teach as well. To me, I know what I'm doing. I like the option of being creative. I want oxidative dye. I want pure oxidative dye. I don't want the heavy chemicals. I can't breathe anymore. I've been doing this for coming on 30 years now.
Yeah.
So I've lost my sense of smell. I'm hurting. The chemicals is kicking my butt. So I wanted something a little bit more cleaner. At the same time, I still need to do high fashion work. And I need to still do photo shoot work and video shoot work and everything else that I need to do. And I have the clientele at the salon that I got to achieve. I got to cover the grade. I got to do everything else. So the technology for certified organic based ingredients has exploded over the decades. I'm still not going to eat vegan, but that's just my
But
personal
you do eat
choice.
the color, I heard.
The color tastes better than the food does. Let me tell you. Okay. I still
Sean
like my
said you-
cheeseburgers, but the technology in products that we put on us and that we're breathing in, there is validity to it. The science makes sense, and I'm all for it. I've become a believer, which is awesome because I was so adamantly against it in the beginning. I was so outspoken against it. So it like in the beginning, people thought I was being a hypocrite when I switched over, but the science doesn't. The science tells the truth.
So since you name a brand you're super passionate about, Misty's asking for you to spell it. I guess she's asking you to spell the All Nutrient brand, huh?
Oh yeah, because of my accent. ALL.
That's one word. You call that an accent? I thought it was a speech impediment.
NUTRIENT. Nutrient.
RJ helped you out. He spelled it.
Do I pass the spelling bee?
Yeah. Yeah. You move on to the next round.
You're right. And then Lumine.
Can I get a root word?
LUMINAE. Lumine.
Oh, Lumine. And what do you can I get the origin of the word?
You use it in a sentence.
Use it in a sentence.
And then
I think we used it in enough sentences.
KERATINT.
What do you spell it now?
Keratin.
Keratin.
Yeah. So those are, that's my life. That's what I'm. Oh, and the best toner ever, hands down, 0 stroke 00 clear. That's on you, buddy. So that's all we got.
Yeah, that's it. Time.
If you guys want more information about classes, or if you need help, if you need questions, I am htbbeauty.com. Bernard, what are you on state? No, yourextensions.com.
I'm just Bernard. Your extension.
All of our links are in our video description, so you can always check that out. And
Look
for
at
all
you,
of you,
a salesman. Good job.
You know what? We gotta end it on a high note. This is a class.
Help.
This turned into a class. This was supposed to be a technique.
I know. Yeah, people want classes though, and we do have a lot of online classes in the description and in person, on location. We come to you if you'll spend enough money and put enough people together. We'll fly anywhere in the world. Been to Paris to teach a class before when it was worth it. So yeah, we love to travel. I got to travel right now. So
You're going to travel right now, right?
This was fun. Thank you, Misty, for keeping the questions coming.
Yeah, no, that was a good engagement. That was fun.
Like and subscribe.
We'll catch you next week. Stay profitable.
Comment. Bye.